welcome to the JB Show on Blackout Network. My name is James Fauntleroy. I am your host on here on RBN. So good to see all of you here with me today. It's good to see all of you here in the chat. Just to let you guys know, before I begin anything, I want to let you all know that I did put a trigger warning in the title on purpose. This is a trigger warning to any one of you that are watching that may be easily triggered by images that are very disturbing. I'm using this lightly. These are images that are coming out of Gaza and in the West Bank that could trigger an emotional response greater than that of what a typical emotional response would be. That being, for those of you who may have things like PTSD or something like that, or just can't handle things like this, I urge you to skip this stream for today. Go ahead and skip it. It's okay. But this stream has to continue because this subject has to be talked about. So this is one of the reasons why I'm giving you the out now. I will be covering a small story first before I get to that. But once I get to this, I will be showing images that will be disturbing to many people. So just to let you guys know that this is what this show is going to be about. Okay? All right, let's get started. I'd like to give you all of you a warm welcome and also remind you that JO streams every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch me on RBN Live on Tuesdays at 4 and also on the Sabby and JB show on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Now, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to smash down that subscribe button. We deeply appreciate it. It helps us with the algorithm, as well as clicking the link bell and giving a like to the stream to let you know that you like what you are watching as well. Okay. Please make sure also to subscribe to our Patreon. If you also would continue like to support us, it is deeply appreciated. And also sign up for our Substack as well, or for Revolutionary Blackout Network, so that you are also further informed whenever, whenever we go live on our mailing list, so that you can know when we go live, because sometimes it's not always put out by YouTube. So we know that the algorithms are against, because we are anti-capitalist and we go against a core narrative. So it is unfortunately, but even though we're anti-capitalist, we have to exist within capitalism. That being said, I just want to give a warm welcome to everybody. I am going to give my salutations in the chat as per usual. It is so good to see all of you here. Excuse me. Start off with pitchforks are coming. Says peace to you. Pitchforks are coming. I like your name, and it's the truth. Yes, Notori Lee is in the chat. So good to see you, my darling. It says, I think they still should have their right. When I found out what they think about LGBTQ people, I'm side-eyeing them like a MF. I got you. I understand. CBC Panquake, so good to see you. Also in the chat as well. So good to see you. Joe W says, my support for Palestine does not make me anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, nor does it make me an anti-Semite. My support for Palestine simply makes me human. Beautiful word. And I reflect a lot of what you just said there too as well. A kid says, thank RBN for continuing to educate and inform everyone on the injustices. Thank you so much, A Kid, for also being a supporter of RBN. I see you everywhere, and it is so good to see you every single time you're in the chat. So we deeply appreciate solidarity to you as well. Brandy Weaver is in here. Hello, JB and everyone. Thank you so much. Hello, you as well. Weaver, is so good to see you. Desert Mantis is also in the chat. Greetings, mutants. I can't wait till we get mutants in the MCU. We already have if you guys watch some of the Marvel shows. But yeah, that's a little bit of nerd in me. But yeah, I'm actually excited about it. Robin Ryan is also in the chat saying, "Happy Sunday, all. My best to Compton J. Speedy recovery, and please find young sir." Also, CJ, if you're watching, then I just want to wish you a speedy recovery. He's, had a bit of a health scare earlier in the week. Just to let you know, if you guys are on Twitter, go to his tweet and wish him well. Let him know, that you want to give him well wish because DJ is part of the heart and soul of RBN. So we want to wish him well in this as well. My brother, get some rest. And don't watch the stream today. Just watch something. Look, put on some Friday. All right. Stimulate your mind, Craig. Stimulate your mind. Go and do that. Don't watch the stream. Just watch something funny, recover, and then we'll get back on it. Not this Tuesday, but the next Tuesday when we go on RBN Live. Okay. Love you, brother. All right. Let me see. Eric Gray is also here. What's good, everybody? Hopefully nothing happens to this live stream. I hope so as well. But you never know. But if in case you guys do see something happening, this stream will continue. And it's also live on Twitch and Rockfin. So just to let you guys know, if something happens to the stream, Twitch and Rockfin keep going. Okay? You guys can switch over to there. Steve Woolbrandt's in the chat saying, "Hello, everyone." Hello to you, Steve. So good to see you. Arif says, "Liberia. Hello. Good to see you too, Arif. Thank you so very much for joining." Cameron X says, "Good morning, everyone." Good morning to you, Cameron X. So good to see you as well. Sarina Sawyer says, "Greetings, comrades. So good to see you, Sarina Sawyer." All right. Abadan has purple pots. Greetings to you. I had to read that last name for a second. Thank you so much. All right. Steven is in the chat. Steven saying, "What's good, comrades? I see that you finished." All right. Thank you so much, Steven. Good to see you as well. Angela Sangster is in the chat. Can't stay, but dropping a like and we'll watch later. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Angela. If on the rewatch, good to see you as well. And much love to you. Thank you as well, as always. All right. Bobby K, what's with the vid quality? I have no idea. It, as far as I'm concerned, it looks good on my end. Does it look bad, everybody? Just let me know, please. Let me see. MD Bior Evans says, "Good vibes." Good vibes to you as well, MD. All right. Bob K says, "Convo already showed this vid yesterday. Pretty brutal." Yeah. Yeah. You mean Convo Couch? You know what? If they did, I'm glad. The thing is that Nick covered it yesterday here on RBN. I know Richard Medhurst, which we will go over a little bit later today, also covered it. If Convo Couch is covering it, good. And if you see I didn't get a chance to look at other outlets, indie media outlets that were covering it as well. I'm pretty sure a lot others have as well. Good, because the thing is that this is a big story, and they are not talking about it. See, you have the corporate media that covers everything about Ukraine, right? They cover Ukraine ad nauseum. Yet they may give a little bit of attention or not even a peep about Palestine and what's really going on in Palestine. And so this is something that needs to be brought up by us, because I know we at RBN, we support anybody who's oppressed. And right now, who's being oppressed? but we see the Palestinian people in Gaza. So that's what we're standing with, you know. So you know, I want to see more coverage about this from any media because corporate media just won't cover it because they're typically on this side of the oppressors. So this needs to be talked about and discussed ad nauseum, just the way they discussed Ukraine ad nauseum. So because it needs to be out there, people need to know. Thank you so much, as well, Bob K. Who else is in the chat? Let's see here. Oh, did I miss? Oh, nope, 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 nope. Let me see. Oh yeah, awesome share at Tweetsville yesterday on the Rogers Water takedown of CNN bobblehead. I should show that as too. You know, I think I'll show that. Great team. Yeah, good. So good to see you. Great team, Robin. Yeah, yeah, Robin. Yeah, yeah. Roger Waters, he owned him. Okay. Spray Fairy says, my bestie, my buddy, my buddy and me. Uh, my baby Vi says hello to all. Say hello to, look, hugs and forehead kisses to baby Vi. Is that your cat? Forehead kisses to the cat. And if you have dogs, I don't care, hamsters, guinea pigs, give them all forehead kisses for me. Okay? All right. John Small says, get well soon, CJ. Yes, I'd love to see it. Shout out to CJ. All right. All right. Let me see. Martin Winslow says, looks like YouTube is already throttling the stream. That's to be expected. If you guys can, please the stream on your social media as well. If you're on Twitter, share Twitter. Don't just like retweet mine, but like share on your own Twitters and get that going too as well. If you're on Facebook, do that as well. Deborah says, just share the stream on Twitter. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Let me see. David Warshauer saying, JB, so good to see you. Sula Moon is in the chat. Omar Rana. Ooh, okay. Oh man. That's not good. I think the bandwidth is being taken up a little bit by somebody else in the house. Wait. Why is it on here? Hang on. That's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be on this one. Okay. So hopefully it changed and hopefully it's a little bit better, the quality of the video, so you guys can see it just a little bit better. All right. Omar Rona says it's a misconception that Hamas is a terror organization. They're merely fighting back and they have an obligation to do so. Thank you very much for that, Omar Rona, by the way. I'm a little subdued right now, not because technically I'm in a good mood, but this subject is so heavy that I don't want to make it seem like I'm making light of the situation. You know what I mean? So, and I'm very excited and happy to be with you all, but I just want to respect the decorum of the information that I'm about to give you. All right, just to let you guys know. So that's the reason why I'm kind of more just like level JB instead, right? Okay. But so good to see so good to see everyone here today. Now, before we get to talking about Palestine, there's an update that I wanted to share with you all. Okay. So we're going to be. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Here we go. Okay. I'll be sharing my screen quite a bit this afternoon, but this is going to be the update on the murderers of Ahmad Arbery. Now, if you guys are not up to speed on who Ahmad Arbery was a gentleman in Georgia that was jogging through the neighborhood. And I guess it was a typically white neighborhood. And I think if I remember correctly, there was a house under construction. And he, sometimes, when you see a house, that's empty, go in, look in, just see what the house looks like, right? I do it, and my mom does it. A lot of people do it, right? I know a lot of you probably do it. Apparently, a couple of men, white men, thought that that was suspicious for some reason because they saw a black man running through their neighborhood, probably jogging, and they saw that he was looking through, the windows in their house. And they judged by, I guess, what he was wearing that, oh, well, joggers don't wear those. So therefore, he shouldn't be in this neighborhood anyway. He looks suspicious because he looks like this. So they jumped on their truck, they grabbed the guns, and they went, and their neighbor was with them, and he went with them. Apparently, um, they caught up to him. There was a struggle. There was a father and son. The son shot Ahmad Arbery and killed him. And the police waited, before arresting them, and then they finally arrested them after outrage. Properly, I mean, because the outrage was proper because they should have been arrested right then and there, but it wasn't done. But with that being said, the killers were tried and convicted and sentenced to life. Um, with that being said, this is the update that we now have about one of Ahmaud Arbery's killers. This is from AOL. His lawyer says Arbery shooter fears he'll be killed in state prison. So this came out yesterday. Let's take a look at this and hear what he has to say. Let's enlarge and reach on the other side. Oh, wait. Oops. I have the sound off. That would help. JB. Perfect. All right.
For next week, one of the men convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery believes someone will kill him in state prison. Greg McMichael wants a judge to transfer him to a federal facility. A judge sentenced him to life without parole on state charges. Channel 2 will be there when McMichael will be sentenced for federal civil rights violations, and that's going to happen on Monday.
Okay. So the story starts. This is out of Savannah. It says the white man who fatally shot Ahmaud Arbery after chasing the running black man in Georgia neighborhood says he fears he will be killed by fellow inmates if he's sent to state prison to serve a life sentence for murder. Travis McMichael, who's 36 years old, faces sentencing on Monday, which is tomorrow, in a U.S. district court after his conviction on federal hate crime charges in February. His defense attorney filed a legal motion Thursday asking the judge to keep McMichael in federal custody. So the attorney argued that McMichael has received hundreds of threats, quote unquote, hundreds of threats, and won't be safe in Georgia state prison system that is under investigation by U.S. Justice Department amid concerns about violence between inmates. And so this was back in February 2020. They armed themselves with guns, jumped in a pickup truck to chase Arbery after he ran past their home just outside of the port city of Brunswick. And then neighbor William Roddy Bryan joined the chase in his own truck and recorded via cell phone of Travis McMichael shooting Ahmad Arbery with his shotgun. So, right now, what's going on is, says here, uh, quote, his concern is that he will be promptly be killed upon delivery to the state prison system for service of that sentence. Says he has received numerous threats of death that are credible in light of all circumstances. And Copeland says she has alerted Georgia's corrections agency, which has replied that these threats are unverified and can securely house McMichael in state custody. So basically, the state prison saying these threats aren't, they're, you know, they're probably idle. It's nothing that he needs to worry about. We can take him in. You guys don't have to worry about sending him to federal prison. But Travis McMichael is saying, no, do not send me to state prison. I'd rather go to federal prison because if I go to state prison, they're going to off him, basically. And then also Greg McMichael, Travis McMichael's father, says he has also asked the judge to put him in federal prison rather than state prison. And he says, citing safety concerns and health problems. Now, Ahmad Arbery's mother said, granting these men their preferred choice of confinement would defeat me. And she said it would give them one last chance to spit in my face. Here's the thing. I do not believe in the death penalty for reasons that too many innocent people slip through the cracks and are murdered by the state. So I don't believe in the death penalty, right? However, I will say that people like Travis McMichael and his father, after ending the life of Ahmad Arbery, do not necessarily get the preferential treatment of choosing where they go. There's an old adage that says you reap what you sow. This is called caused a cascading effect for them that has made it so now they are truly in fear for their lives. Reminder, because of systemic racism in this country, what is it, 40% of all inmates are Black, even though we only make 13% of the population? Um, I was close, 38%. So 38% were Black, people in jail who are Black, right? Yet we're only about 13% of the population. That being said, there's a lot of Black people in jail and in prison. And so because of that, because of the systemic racism, they're all there. But what happens when someone who benefits from systemic racism and then perpetuates it, especially on a social level and a societal level, now they're in the prison system with the victims of systemic racism. You reap what you sow. You decided to kill a man because of the internal racism that you hold. So I don't know, I do not believe in the death penalty, but at the same time, what do you what do you do? I mean, you guys literally ended this man's life. So it's like, you know, yeah. Thanks, Sabs. I'm aware. This is a heavy subject, and so and plus it's talking about Palestine. It, it's bound to be suppressed. It's going to be especially once I start getting to talking about Palestine. So yeah, but it's good to see you, Sabs. Um, but yes, look, JPEG is right. They lynched a guy. They lynched him. I don't really. I'm probably being. Some people probably think I'm being too kind, but I'm not like. Oh, they should be taken to a federal prison and blah 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 to serve out their life sentence there. I'm like, you let your racism get the best of you, and then you end up killing somebody, and then the authorities basically let you get off scot free. They could have for at least a month. And then after outrage, because your neighbor recorded it, like, look, I'll be honest with you. If your neighbor hadn't recorded it on his phone, y'all probably be free. I'm glad that he recorded it. What I would have been even more happier with is if he was recording it and told them to stop, and he forced them to stop. And Ahmad Arbery would still be alive. I would actually be happier if they never pursued him in the first place. Or if they could have just been like, hey man, we saw you looking at the house over there. Are you lost or do you need any help? Maybe just maybe it would have turned into maybe just a neighborly response. Even if he was hostile, just let it go. But they didn't. So I know it sounds kind of out of character for JB, but I'm not necessarily feeling too much of an emergent response if they do get put in state prison. So true justice would be Ahmad Arbery still being alive. So, yeah. So that's what's going on with the case regarding the murderers of Ahmad Arbery. So we'll keep you posted on any further developments. Shout out to my friend Mike who shared that article with me. Thank you so much, bro. It means a lot. So I gotta take a sip of tea for this one because this is deep. I got my tissues ready too because I may end up crying. So Palestine. This has been happening for years, but there was another barrage of military action by the hands of Israel and Palestine that happened. Shout out to Lady Alex and Fred Edward that's watching on the Rockfin side. So good to see all of you watching as well. Just wanted to shout you out before I get started. So at the last I checked, there was 34 that were killed in Gaza. 6 of the 34 people that were killed were children. One of the people that were murdered was 5 years old. Palestinian little girl. All of the people that were killed in this bombing were Palestinians. No Israeli deaths. I think one was wounded, but I think it was by some shrapnel. But it was a wound. It wasn't. They weren't killed. I don't think people realize the genocide that is happening in Palestine as we speak. Why is this important? Why on a black network are we covering what's happening in that part of the world? Because they did the same thing to us here. They did the same thing to us here. They did the same thing to the indigenous here. Settlements, illegal occupation. It's really in our history that we have expressed solidarity with Palestinians and Palestinians have expressed solidarity with us. So as a black network, I think it is important for us, it's incumbent upon us to cover these things because an injustice somewhere is an injustice everywhere, right? And while all the mainstream media, all the corporate media is covering Ukraine, they turn a blind eye to what's going on in Palestine. And they stand on the side of the people that are on the offense. Israel's only been a state since 1948. Palestine has been there for over 1,000 years. So this is the tough part. Okay. I'm going to be sharing what's going on. So first, I'm going to share what's being said by Palestinians on the ground. This is from Palestine in the UK Twitter. Shout out to them. So we're going to see
what we call on the
this gentleman says. So I'll meet you guys on the other side.
What we call on the international community is very clear. This aggression must end. Israel's blockade of Gaza and occupation must end. Israel's colonial policy in the West Bank and settlement expansion must end. International law must be applied. International duplicity and double standards in comparison to the position regarding Ukraine, it's absolutely mind-boggling. This is an occupation. The world recognizes Israel's presence in Palestinian territory as an illegal military occupation. The world recognizes that the acts of colonial expansion is illegal. The world recognizes East Jerusalem is an occupied city. And as we speak, thousands of Israeli illegal settlers have stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque and are exercising religious rituals allowed by an Israeli caretaker government, who are using Palestinian blood as we speak to compete in the internal Israeli politics, what we call.
So here's the thing I'm thinking about regarding this, right? So if Palestinians are calling for international law to be applied, that means that they're calling for justice to be applied to them, right? Yet you never hear the state of Israel or the United States actually asking for international law to be applied in regards to this as well. Even then, the United States doesn't adhere to international law on so many different fronts. It's not even funny. Remember, 34 were killed. 34, right? All right. So this is a Palestinian girl that was part of being attacked. Like I said, disturbing images. Now, I don't speak Arabic, so I don't know exactly what she's saying, but you can feel her terror. You can feel her shock in her young little life. And I want you to, as you watching this, I want you to ask yourself this question. What does she do to deserve this? Meet you on the other side.
اليهود مش دولة كمان تحت راجل تحت كمان على الأرض واحد زبالة مش دولة عشان نقتل الأطفال ويمكن الحين قسمين دارنا لأنه قسموا دارنا ديك المرة لما كان حرب.
This baby has seen more death than most of us have ever seen in our lives. Can you imagine that by the time before you even hit puberty, you've seen that much death, that much destruction, that much hatred against you, against the people that came to that place years ago, that around 75 years ago, and are moving to push you out just because of your origin. Can you imagine what that must feel like in your little life and your very few years on this planet? that you have to explain to a reporter or to somebody on the ground about people trying to kill you? What do you say to her? Look into those eyes and tell me, what do you say to her? And after people like this are affected, I want you to ask me this question. And I'm going to switch it around. Does Palestine have the right to defend itself? Does it? Let's continue. Here's a gentleman.
Who did you lose? أبويا وأمي وأختي وأخويا الكبير ومرت أخويا ومرتي وابني البكر وابني الثاني 16 سنة وبنتي وابن أخويا بنت أخويا ومرت ابن أخويا وطفل 3 شهور وولاد عمي 2 وولاد عمي 3 أطفال بنات ابن عمي. جريمة جريمة.
He named his mother, his father, his wife, his sons, his cousins, 3-month-old child. If you counted, he counted almost 20 people, and his entire family has been wiped out. And at the end, he said, this is a crime. Everybody. And how do you go on living after you've lost all the people you love? Like, how do you go on living? Like, really, how do you go on? And you sit here and you tell me, oh, well, they're terrorists. To who? You got somebody trying to push you out of your house and you're suddenly not allowed to defend yourself? And then when you do, you're considered terrorists? So by that very logic, then guess what? The colonizers that came to this continent to push out the indigenous people, when the indigenous people decided to fight back against the colonizers, are you going to call the indigenous people terrorists? Are you going to call the Seminoles, the Iroquois, the Blackfoots? Are you going to call them terrorists for fighting against colonizers? Is that what you're going to do? They've been on this land for thousands of years, and you're just coming in from Europe, and you're going to call them colonizers? I'm sorry, you're going to call them terrorists? It's beyond me. This is what is going on right now. This is what's going on right now. I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you guys what you're looking at here. right now.
قولي لا اله الا الله عمو كمان لا اله الا الله يا رب ساعدني يا رب قولي الله يكون في عونك يا رب يا شباب احنا قربنا يا شباب قولي لا اله الا الله عمو.
If you don't notice, that's a little child under the rubble. And they're comforting the child, trying to tell them that they're going to get them out. That's a child in rubble. Because they bomb buildings, residential buildings that little children were living in. Keep your sense of outrage. Think about your child. Think about your niece, your nephew, your grandkid, your sister, your brother, your little siblings. Think about them and see them in that. Keep your sense of outrage. This is what they're doing. I got a nephew that's about to turn 9. Can you imagine that happening to your loved one? Your baby? One thing I appreciate about my comrades at RBN, especially people like Nick, is that he can take the logical and the factual angles at what's going on. And if you guys want to see that, then look at Nick's stream yesterday. But right now, I'm covering the emotional aspect of this because that's my lane. And you cannot sit here and support a government that does atrocities like this. And I'm not just talking about the state of Israel. I'm also talking about the United States government too. Because the United States government supports this. This is what our government supports. The billions of dollars that they continuously send to the state of Israel. By the way, when I say the state of Israel, I'm talking about the government of Israel, just like I'm talking about the government of the United States. I'm not necessarily talking about the Jewish people. Because there's a lot of Jewish people that are also against this. They're against it. There's a lot of Jewish people that stand on the side of Palestinians as well, because they do not like to see people suffer. So that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the government of Israel. This is what they're doing. Yes, Catero. I actually would take it even further. It's not just an open air prison. It's like being in an open air firing squad. I'm not done with these, but one of the things I want to do is I want to give attention to somebody who covers this very well. Before I get to that, let me cover this super chat. Ja Crispy says, also imagine how they feel when they hear how other countries and people support Israel. I can't imagine that hopeless feeling. Yeah, thank you so much. I have something hopeful to show you at the end. So I may come back to this super chat again. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share with you guys friends of RBN who covers this constantly, and much respect to him. to Richard Medhurst.
Thoroughly, very.
Okay. So first of all, Mr. Medhurst is going to give some background. So you're going to have a lot in corporate media that talks about the argument of both sides, right? They're doing it just like Donald Trump did the both sides argument. Where the United States does it, Israel does it. You're gonna, a lot of the mainstream media, whether it be BBC, or whether it be Reuters, it could be Fox News, it could be CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, whatever. They all both sides the issue, right? Richard Medhurst is going to give you a backstory and why it's all BS. Okay, so here we go.
Thoroughly, as usual, as we usually do on here. Okay. Yeah. And of course, my favorite is like both sidesing it. Like, oh, it's both sides, like it's both sides. There are 0 dead Israelis and 24 dead Palestinians. It's both sides. Both sides need to chill.
Now, it actually went up to 34 Palestinians. So 0 dead Israelis and the amount of dead Palestinians actually jumped. So the death toll went up since him talking about this. I think it was yesterday.
All right, man. Let's break this down. Let's go through this. Let me tell you what's happening in Gaza. These horrific sights that we're seeing. As of now, so again, this is about midnight CEST time. So crossing over into the 8th of July. Currently, you have around 24 dead Palestinians and zero dead Israelis, but of course it's both sides. And I want to show you what's happening and why it's happening, because this violence did not just come out of nowhere. So a few days ago, there was a story in the news which I can guarantee you was not on the front page of Western newspapers.
Nope.
The Israelis, they carried out a raid and they arrested this guy over here. Okay, so that's Bassam Saadi. They arrested him with his son-in-law, and a 17-year-old teenager was killed. So a Palestinian, right? And they arrested this guy because he's in Islamic Jihad. Okay, and I'll tell you about Islamic Jihad in a moment, as the Palestinian Islamic Jihad as the group and the organization. So they carried out a raid and arrested this guy. You following me?
Mm-hmm.
What happens next? Well, yesterday there was an assassination. Okay, so the Israelis, I'm going to show you the video because they published it. Like, they're so shameless. They fired at a building and killed another commander. Here, this is the headline you can see. They killed Taysir Jabari. Okay, so this is his picture over here. I just wanted to pull this up so you can see what we're talking about. So he's from the same organization, right? Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and they killed him, right? So the Bassam arrested, and this guy Jabari assassinated. Now, when I say assassinated, they didn't just kill him. So this is one guy. To get one guy, do you know what the Israelis did? They killed 11 other Palestinians and wounded 75. Right? And then they have the gall, they have the stones to say, oh, we are the most moral army in the world. Moral, they call themselves. And they call others terrorists. Again, I'm going to repeat this. To get one guy, the Israelis killed 11 other Palestinians and injured 75 other Palestinians.
Now, just as, let me cut in. Now, as far as the United States goes, there was a 90% rate that they killed civilians with drone strikes, and that was under President Obama. Just trying to get the terrorists, but yet 90% of the people that were killed by those drone strikes were civilians, people that had nothing to do with it. You're starting to see the similarities between the United States and the state of Israel. Let's continue. And as he explains it further, I want you to juxtapose this with what the United States does as well abroad.
So for them, that's acceptable, right? You know, Arabs, we're just collateral. That's how it is. Arabs, they're just collateral. They're not human beings. And by the way, when I describe to you a massacre, this is really a massacre. This is basically standard Israeli practice. This is not something that just, came out of nowhere yesterday for Taysir Jabari. No. It's standard Israeli practice. They don't care. And it's almost like describing the U.S. drone war in a nutshell, right? Obama just bombing a funeral, bombing a wedding, whatever. Yeah, it's okay if you kill 75 people or injure 75 people. We thought this guy was there. They can't even get them. They're so, right? They can't even get these guys. And when I say get these guys, it's so funny, like this whole rhetoric, like as if, the Americans are the good guys, right? It's like cowboys and Indians. There are the good guys and the bad guys, right? It's the cops and the mob. You have good guys and bad guys. And we got to do whatever it takes to get the bad guys because they're bad. Really? Who gave you the right to be judge, jury, and executioner? Where's the rule of law? Where's the due process? The Americans, the Israelis, they talk about democracy, and then they'll just go and assassinate someone.
Is this that liberal-based world order that they were talking about? Is that what this is? Is this the liberal-based world order that they were referring to? Let's continue.
They'll just go massacre him, right? And kill other people as well. Did you try this guy? Did you indict him? Was there a trial that I didn't hear about? What's going on here? You go to another country to murder people? It's incredible. Look at the video. They published the video. Now you tell me what's going on here. You got a pair of eyes? Look at this video. What's going on here? This is published by the Israelis. Are those residential buildings or residential buildings? So they basically fired at a residential building to get this guy, one guy. Jesus Christ.
Now, I just want to say, imagine being in a building. You're relaxing, you're minding your business, and next thing you know, an explosion goes off. Never mind the police coming into a building and then shooting into the apartment, and then those bullets inadvertently may hit you in the apartment that's next to you, that you're next to, or your neighbors. Instead, they literally go and fire rockets into your building just to get to one person in your building. Imagine that. Or imagine if that's one of your loved ones' apartment buildings that they live in. What would you be prepared to do? What would you be wanting to do after seeing something like that? After hearing something like that? Richard explains further.
Oh my God. I mean, look at that. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at this indiscriminate terrorism, this violence. Oh my God. If a Palestinian did that in Israel, they'd be screaming at high heaven, right? If someone did that to the Americans or these, they wouldn't fucking never shut up about it, right? But it's okay for them to do it to others, and then they call them terrorists. All right. So I'm just bringing you up to date on what's going on. I was gonna,
Yep. If somebody did that to a building in the United States, it would have been called a terrorist act. And yet, when the state of Israel or the United States does it, it's all fine and good. Rules for thee and not for me, right? Rules for thee and not for me. It's counterterrorism. And so this is what's going on, right? And there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on within this whole reasoning that Israel and the United States have. We go to my next marker. Okay. All right. So, by the way, I also put the link to this video in the description as well, so you guys can watch the full thing. It starts at about 33 minutes in, so he has like the countdown, but it officially starts 33 minutes in. So just scroll to the 33-minute mark, and then he'll start there. But he's going to explain the doctrine, right? And I want you to go in your mind's eye back to the Iraq War as you hear Richard talk about this. And this is one of the reasons why it's important for you to consume independent media, because corporate media is not going to, they're not going to give you the full explanation of things like people on the ground, people like Richard Medhurst do. Okay? So, let me see. This is to, let me see. Okay. Take a listen.
Oh my God. What else do we have? What is this over here? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this very important statement. So this is from the, you guys might remember I interviewed Michael Link. Michael Link was the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Palestine, on the occupied territories. Okay. And of course, you know, because he was objective and just reported the truth, they called him anti-Semitic and they tried to attack him. And you know what? This is his replacement. So she is now the special rapporteur, right? And I'm talking about Francesca Albanese. So she said about these attacks, quote, "I condemn Israel's airstrikes in Gaza to allegedly deter Islamic Jihad's possible retaliation for its leader's arrest."
Now, hang on. Let's go back just a couple of seconds. Hang on. She said, "I condemn Israel's airstrikes in Gaza to allegedly deter." Deter. What? Hang on. Let me enlarge myself again. Let me enlarge this back again, just so you guys can see. To deter a possible retaliation. So nothing actually happened yet. Nothing happened yet. There was no crime done. What does that sound like to you? A possible attack is to deter. Doesn't sound like defense, it sounds like offense. Right? Think about Iraq. Think about the Afghanistan war. Think about it. All right, let's continue.
Strikes in Gaza to allegedly deter Islamic Jihad's possible retaliation for its leader's arrest. As international law only permits the use of force in self-defense, Operation Breaking Dawn is a flagrant act of aggression, illegal, immoral, irresponsible. So what she mentioned just now, Operation Breaking Dawn, this is what the Israelis are calling their so-called counterterrorism operation, where they just kill 24 Palestinians and then blame it on Palestinians. So that's what they're calling it. And I love this logic. It's kind of like the Bush Doctrine, right? What was the Bush Doctrine during those days? Is that, the United States is to destroy the enemies of the United States in advance, because they will eventually attack the United States based on something. It's like Minority Report, right? You're a criminal because in the future you're going to commit a criminal act, so we have to arrest you in advance.
Is that moral? Is that moral? We're going to arrest you. We're going to kill you. We're going to judge and execute you based on something that we think you might do in the future. Not something that has been done. Something that we caught your hand in the cookie jar. But something that we think you might do. The colonialism of it all. I'm going to go to the chat. Absolutely, Bridget. Sweary Fairy says, I'm not sure I know a single person in real life who would say, so it's not my family, friends, and I just want to scream. The sad part about it is that there's a lot of people who they really don't care about issues until it directly affects them. We need to start awakening our emotional intelligence so that when we see things like this, we have a sense of outrage. We are all in this together. Individualism really killed a lot of compassion and empathy that we should have towards one another. If we are all from this planet, if we are all connected to this planet, that means that we are all part of this planet. That means a piece of you was just murdered. A piece of you. Even if you want to go the fully scientific route, they killed your cousin. Your cousins got murdered. Some of your cousins killed your other cousins. This has to stop. Yeah, Salgado. Empire makes a lot of oopsies and oh dears. It's crazy. Bob says, in this case, might is right. Beat on Palestinians or black people with no money or weapons. Yeah, that's what they do. The Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, actually trains the police, and then the police use those same tactics against us black people here in the United States. And right, they never pay a price for their crimes. Kat Terrell says, we got Soleimani in the same way, no arrest or trial, and took out a public airport. No arrest or trial. No due process. And yes, Omar, it is an unspeakable evil. Sherry Specter, accurate. Most Americans are ignorant to what is actually happening in the world, let alone Gaza. Well, this is why independent media like us exist, to let people know. If you haven't shared this stream, please make sure to share this stream. As well as also Richard Medhurst, which I linked into the description, and go to Nick's stream from yesterday and also share that stream too. Watch it and share it. Yeah, they destroyed a building to kill one person. They didn't even arrest them for, and hold them for trial or anything, because there's nothing they can get them on because they didn't do anything yet. Frank says, guess what? Nothing will change until you remove IPAC, Zionist interest in control of your government. Shocker, huh? How many of your legislators have dual Israeli citizenship? Where did their interests lie? That's true. And unfortunately, they believe in this colonial, Zionism that basically is committing genocide in this part of the world, in Gaza. And they think it's defense when really it's offense. Bob Smith says, even in Ukraine, the Black and Indian students there were deemed lesser than the rest of Ukraine at the border. Media tried to cover, but it was embarrassed by this. It's like the darker you are, the less your life matters. Has happening in Gaza, happens here in the United States, in the hoods of Orlando, Atlanta, Camden, Compton, South Side of Chicago, in the boroughs of New York, in Minneapolis, Austin, Texas, happens in St. Louis, happens all over this country too. The darker you are, the less your life matters. Mm-mm-mm. Deborah Grossbach says, unfortunately, this week my representative who supports Palestinian rights was defeated by a Michigan primary by a corporate stooge funded by IPAC. Deborah, is your representative Rashida Tlaib? Because I know that Rashida Tlaib, she was going up against someone who was funded by IPAC and was supported by Bakari Sellers. I had to think of the word sellout in order to get his name in my head. But they were being pushed and funded by Bakari Sellers. If you can confirm that for me, that'd be pretty big news. I don't remember there being a story about her losing, but I wonder who you're talking about. Thanks a lot for letting me know. In 2016, Palestinians unveiled a giant statue of Nelson Mandela in the West Bank city of Ramallah. Yeah. Hey, Molly McGuire, thank you so much. It is so true what you said about this glorification of individualism is killing our innate sense of community. Yeah. Yes, Omar. Respecting Nelson Mandela. All right. That dangerous doctrine, that basically that Bush doctrine of kill first before any potential crime was ever committed. By that doctrine, this is what you end up getting. This is what you get by that doctrine. I told you. Viewer discretion advised. I told you. This is what you get from that doctrine. This is what you get. How do you explain this? Those are all children killed. Does Palestine have the right to defend itself? I want you to ask that question. Do they have a right to defend themselves? Babies murdered in cold blood. What do you say? What do you say? I know there's some people in here that are against what I'm talking about. I know some people in the chat that are like, JB, you don't get it. They shot at us. Does Palestine have a right to defend itself? Yes or no? Because I haven't heard of any deaths at all in Israel. By the way, Israel shot first. So, do you want to? How do you explain to these families? Well, the rest who are alive, the rest who are still living, that have to survive to mourn the death of their kids that barely got even a chance to live. What do you say to them? Babies, man. I want you to explain to these people, to these kids. Look, explain this. Can you explain that? What if that was your kid? By the way, I would like to ask you the question. of the millions of Iraqis that were killed by the United States in the time since 2003, how many of those millions of Iraqis were children whose lives were snuffed out before they can even live? How many of those people who were shot down in weddings and in hospitals were children? How many? This is the result of colonialism. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for y'all. This is what it is. And the same way you turn a blind eye to this, you also turn a blind eye to the suffering of people who look like me in this country. You turn a blind eye. And now it's in your face. You're watching me, it's in your face. Pay attention. The billions of dollars that this country, the United States, sends to Israel every single year. Mind you, by the way, Israel also has universal health care. What about us? Oh, that's right. We can't afford it. But we can afford to send it to Israel, who does have universal health care. They have universal health care, and they're also committing mass murders to people, to kids, to innocent people. Thank you, Zencat. Says great stream, sending love to my Palestinian brothers and sisters. Thank you, Zencat, for that. I appreciate it. Love to you as well. Thank you, James Starks, for the super sticker. Appreciate it. What do you say to them, man? The only thing I want to do is I just want to hold him. I want to hold all of them and comfort them. This is a crime at the highest order. This cannot be allowed. You break into somebody's home and try to push them out of their home, and they fight back, and you call them terrorists for fighting back? For defending themselves? That's the same people that called the Black Panthers terrorists for defending us. What? These are the same people that, if during the times of slavery, if a slave rebellion broke out and then the slaves killed the master, their oppressor, they would call the slaves terrorists. Even though they were the ones that were doing the killing. You cannot sit here and just be like, well, if their parents hadn't done blah, 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 their parents were trying to defend so that they can raise their babies to actually live. This is what people are going through. Like, literally. Like, look at this. What? Imagine that happening outside your door. Imagine.
لسه صبغة والصبغة الفتى عسل مثل الصبغة.
That's terrorism. I can't say anything else. That is terrorism. That's terrorism. What do you want? That's exactly what this is. This is what's going on right now. Are you paying attention? And they wonder why. Those of us who we have a litmus test of, do you support Palestine? This is why we have such a strong litmus test. Shout out to O'Day D90 on Twitter. This is the aftermath.
هذا القصف
Buildings literally leveled. Buildings leveled to nothing. I really don't know what to tell you. But whenever you come across a story, especially when the story has to do with a country of brown or black people, get the real deal of what's going on, especially from independent sources and indie media, and then share it. Circulate it, because the corporate news will not do it. Because not only do they have an objective to keep up with the status quo so that colonialism and imperialism continue, but also the mere fact that they just don't give a fuck. They don't care about these people in Palestine. They don't care about the people in Somalia. They don't care about the people in Ethiopia. They don't care about the people in Honduras, Nicaragua. They don't care about the people who are in Sri Lanka. They don't care about the people that are indigenous in Australia, the Aborigines. They don't care about the Libyans. They don't even care about the poor whites in Appalachia. They don't even care about you. They don't care about the people on Skid Row. They don't care about the people here in Orlando that are running the streets, who are homeless on Orange Blossom Trail. They don't care about you. They will see you living in a tent and they will bulldoze your home down with a bobcat. They will bomb you to get at somebody who potentially may do something. They will put boots on the ground in your country just so they can take your resources from you. And then they will lie and say, oh, well, your country's being ran by a dictator, even though that person that you are under, you voted for that person and you democratically selected that person. But because the United States doesn't like them, doesn't like the fact that they are saying no to colonialism and imperialism, then the colonialists and imperialists do away with your leader that you democratically elected and they replace it with some puppet dictator. That's what they do. That's what the United States always has done. I'm going to go to the chat. Let me go to Rockfin. Make sure. I agree with you, Lady Alex. Lady Alex says, I am not disappointed in America as I have no positive expectations. I agree. I agree. You make sense. Lady Alex continues, says, I remember Vietnamese people being slaughtered. Here we are now. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Listen, the reason why I made this stream like this is because we on the left tend to be very rational and logical people, which is good in a way because we need to, we have to have our facts, we have to have objective truth. This is how we operate. Yes, absolutely. But I think one of the things that unfortunately, and I'm not even going to say the right, I'm going to say the side of the oppressor has, is that they put a lot of focus on the emotional aspects of things. And a lot of times people will get emotional about something that they really don't have the objective facts on the ground about. And so they're misguided in their emotional outrage. But when you get the actual facts on the ground about what's really going on, that emotional outrage needs to also be there, because the emotional outrage also drives people into action. Humans are emotional beings, and our emotions can also be that alarm system that drives us to say, this is something wrong, we need to do something about this. That's why streams like this exist. It's a waking up to what is going on around the world. It is a waking up to what our government is doing. You have many people, great journalists, who are on the ground, who report the facts. Then you have some of us who are not as, I do have somewhat of a logical mind, but I'm not as logically minded as my contemporaries. But we can translate it into the emotional response and showing what's wrong and displaying that for you, so that not only are we taking from the independent journalists on the ground, but we're also taking the emotional response and we're saying, putting it together and saying, look, this is what's wrong. And if you do not have that same emotional response, I need you to look inward. I need you to look inside yourself and say, why isn't this hurting my heart? Why isn't this making me feel pain from seeing this? It's not that I want you to feel the pain, but I want you to develop that empathy and compassion for people who are on the other side of the world, who are a part of us. They are a part of us. These children, these men, these women, these people, these persons, they are a part of you. Their pain is your pain, and your pain is their pain, just like your joy is their joy. I mean it when I say we are all part of a global whole. Every single person you have ever known, loved, and hated has been born on this single solitary planet. Nobody is from someplace else. That being said, they are a part of you, and you are a part of them. And this is where empathy and compassion links us to one another. Thank you for the comment, Mean Boy. Appreciate it. So that's why this stream was created. Because while my brother Nick is so brilliant, my brother is brilliant at giving you guys really the nuts and bolts of what's going on, I came in for the emotional aspect of it. Richard Medhurst is kind of a mix of both of us. Shout out to you, Richie. But this is why it's so important. And please do not fall for the black faces in high places that are saying otherwise, that are on the side of colonialism, on the side of imperialism. You're going to have the Obamas. You're going to have the Bowmans. You're going to have the Bakari Sellers and the James Clyburns. They're going to be on the opposite side of this, cheering on the apartheid and the genocide of Palestinian people. You're going to have them. Excuse me. They're going to look like me, but yet they're going to be cheering on the genocide. Don't listen to them. Do not listen to them. Do not listen to them, nor their coontastic views. Because that's exactly what it is. Because they literally are standing in solidarity with imperialism, colonialism, and white supremacy. That's what they're doing. Do not let them do that. Now, I'm going to share something. And Stephen, I'm about to show something that's going to give you hope. Yeah. And Joe Crispy, are you paying attention? Because I'm going to show you something. Because you said, imagine how they feel when they hear how other countries and people support Israel. I want you to hang on to that thought. And I'm going to show you guys something really quick. And as I'm showing you, I want you guys to look at the bottom left-hand corner of all the locations. So down here in the lower right-hand corner, I'm sorry, the lower left-hand corner, see? I want you to look at all the locations. And if you tear up, it's okay. I will too.
Report after report that tells us what we already know. Israel would not exist without the mass expulsion and genocide of the Palestinian people.
The world stands. The world stands with Palestine. Not just RBN, not just Heartland's Media, not just the Any News Network, not just Richie Medhurst, not just the MC at Mikasa Sukasa Network, not just the Black Agenda Report. People in all these other countries, they stand in solidarity and support because they want to see people to live and thrive. And they don't want to see people suffer. And this is beautiful because the world comes together, because they can't stand to see the massacring of people because of who they are. They massacred the indigenous people in this country, in this continent, because of who they were. They killed and stole many of my ancestors because of who they are. And the world is standing up and saying no more. As we continue to tell the truth about what's going on, I want you all to spread this objective truth of what's going on and help people to maintain their sense of outrage. The biggest problem that we have right now is people are becoming desensitized to the pain of those who are the most disenfranchised. I can't imagine being a disabled person in Palestine who has to get dialysis treatments, which I do right now. And let's say I'm at a clinic, and then next thing you know, the block where I'm at getting my dialysis treatment ends up getting bombed while I'm just trying to live and survive. What do you say to that? I ask again, does Palestine have a right to defend themselves? When police are illegally trying to detain and arrest us, do we have a right to defend ourselves? I want you to think about the people who are killed by police, especially people who are unarmed. Take them and take Palestinians. Think about what we both go through. If you're poor and you haven't done anything wrong, do you have a right to defend yourself? The Constitution supposedly says so because you have a right to bear arms, but of course that doesn't really matter. So I ask of you, in any independent media, whether you're listening to the Left Lens, or if you're listening to anybody from INN, or Mikasa Sukasa, or if you're listening to anyone like Richard Medhurst, Rania Kalik, anybody from the Gray Zone, and they're talking about these subjects, about countries that have a little extra melanin in their skin, share it. Do not let it just go by the wayside. Let people know. Because while corporate media is keeping up a narrative for the rich and the wealthy, we need to smash down that narrative and have one that favors the working and the poor. Because we matter too. So that's my stream, everybody. This was tough. But I wanted to kind of, make the point and nail it down. So Nick yesterday made the point. I'm backing my brother up and I'm nailing it down. And anybody else on RBN that covers this, they're going to cover it. And if you say, man, you guys are talking about Palestine again, yes, we're talking about Palestine again. And it's not just going to be Palestine. It's going to be other countries. It could be Libya tomorrow. It could be Algeria. It could be Morocco. It could be South Africa. It could be Colombia. It could be Bolivia. It could be Panama. It could be another shooting of an unarmed black man or a woman or a person or a Latino or just a poor white person. It could be anybody who's disenfranchised in this world. There's an injustice somewhere, is an injustice everywhere. And we cannot turn a blind eye to it. And you who are compassionate and are kind, you don't turn a blind eye to it either. This is why we appreciate you. This is why we love you. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. You all are amazing, loving people. Please keep your heads up despite whatever may happen. Continue to build community with whoever you can. Express class solidarity so that we can actually build a world. And there's a point I wanted to make, and I forgot about it, but I want to do this now. Some of the best ways that we can help support people in Palestine is by our communication and pushing the people here to not only learn about what's going on over there, but to help change this country so that it shifts its support from Israel to Palestine. And it starts to be a major influence in the world for sovereignty for each territory and country to have their own. to rid the world of this colonialist and imperialist type of mindset. Let's change this country, the United States. And if you're in another Western nation, whether it be France or Germany or Spain, Italy, whether you are in Israel or whether you're in the UK, communicate and change your governments as well, so that ultimately in the end, we can also be a huge influence to look out for the most disenfranchised among us in the world. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. I'm going to keep trying to do it myself. I want to wish you guys all a lovely day. I want you to water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them, and forehead kisses to each and every single one of you. I'll see you guys Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be having on Savvy Sabs on my channel. And so she'll be here to join me on my channel. So, yeah, it'll be good to have her here. I'm excited. And then catch me throughout the rest of the week. I almost missed a super chat before I left. Oh, man. S. Cunningham, thank you so much for the super sticker. That's very generous of you. Deeply appreciate it. Love to you as well. All right. Forehead kisses. Mwah. Love all of you. Take care.